What's up? Welcome back to this week's episode of the Vanflip podcast. On this week, we have a special guest, a former employee of said Lambgoat. She also has gone on to do greater and bigger things. She's worked with some of the top metalcore, metal artists, and artists in the industry all around. Please welcome Amy Sciarretto. Did I even fuck that up? Did I fuck it up?
No, you didn't.
Okay.
That was pretty good. Most people fuck it up, but you did not.
Nice. Well, Amy, welcome to the show. I know it's been a long time since you've been around the Lambgoat on this side. I know you worked Lambgoat with Lambgoat at least for like 20 plus years now.
Yeah, I used to do reviews a million years ago of like Hey Breed and stuff like that.
How did you end up how did you end up like working with Alex before?
I don't remember. It was when I was working at Roadrunner. I don't know. I think I just was like back and forth, and I think he had said something about wanting review writers. They posted something, and I was like, hey man, I still write for a bunch of outlets like, Revolver and Alternative Press and Guitar World. And I was like, can I do reviews? And I think he was like, yes. And so I just would write some reviews.
Yeah,
I used to like to write reviews at that time.
Yeah, it's like homework now. Trust me, I got people.
It is. I don't like writing as much as I used to. It's not as easy as it used to be for me.
Yeah, I don't write, but that's one of the things that we definitely have brought back since taking over from Alex. We did bring we did hire on a couple writers, so reviews are back. We've gotten a bunch of those out in the last 6-7 months. I think like 40 or 50 of them or something like that. So
I like it. If you're writing about our bands, great, keep doing that as long as I'm not doing the writing.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, how did you get into working with Roadrunner, and how did you get into this whole business? And we'll eventually get into obviously Adam Splitter PR, which is your main company that you run now.
That's fine. I tell this origin story quite a bit. I always knew what I wanted to do. I tell people when I was in high school, I knew I wanted to work in music, and I was always a good writer. And I was friends with this guy Rennie, who's still a very good friend of mine. Rennie from the band Starkweather, an amazing death metal band in Philly, and he's still one of my good friends. So I think I had, I would go see them, and then I would sign up for the mailing list, and we'd be pen pals. And he helped me start writing because I said I wanted to write about music, and he got me connected with this magazine called All That, which eventually became Chord, and it was a local publication in Philly, monthly or bi-monthly it might have been. So I was just started doing reviews and stuff he didn't want to do anymore. And then it just kind of spiraled. I would write for local publications. This Philly monthly publication called Rock Pile, which doesn't exist anymore. If you went to a show, there's always a stack of magazines by the door, like the Free Arts and Entertainment monthly. It was that, it would be like at all the record stores, which don't exist anymore, and like all the like music related lifestyle shops, tattoo shops and shit like that. I would always write for all those, and it just spiraled from there. I started writing for this magazine Juice, which is a skateboarding magazine. And then I interned at a local trade publication called FMQB, and it just spiraled from there. I learned quickly that I could get the records early, get the music that I was purchasing early and for free, get access to talk to the bands that I loved, spend time with them and talk to them about their music that I loved, and get into the shows for free. So that was like great for me that, I all through college too, I was like, oh, I don't have to spend money on this, doing the stuff I love doing. If I just write about it, I'll get it for free. So writing was very easy for me at the time. So I just was, it just spiraled from there. And then when I graduated, before I even graduated college, I was interviewing at places like CMJ and Concrete Marketing for jobs. So that was like is that the like long shorts, the longer than Reader's Digest version?
Interesting. So you kind of always been attracted to like the counterculture since you were like younger. Yeah.
I grew up really, my oldest brother was a big fan of music and loved rock bands like AC/DC and Kiss and Van Halen, and he got me into them because I used to spend time with him, and I would sit on his lap and listen to records, back in the day on a record player.
What is that? I mean, I know what it is because I own one now currently. But
right. I think these kids these days, I sound so old, get off my lawn. But kids these days have like they like cassettes. What? Like cassettes never sounded really good,
That's the thing that's weird about it. I get the whole physical media part about it, and I mean, honestly, it had been years since I had like held a tape or like a new tape or anything like that, because
Mhm.
they're not like out and about. Well, they used to not be out and about as prevalently, but I went and I looked at one, and I think you can hear my dog drinking in the background, so I'm
Oh,
sorry.
mine just Wilbur just did the same thing. Sorry.
So sorry, listeners, but yeah, so I like found a recent, like, at a show somewhere, someone had a tape, and I was like, I didn't even like the band really that had it, but I like looked at it, and I remember holding it as a kid, so like the nostalgia came back. And then
Hmm.
like I was like, oh, this is cool because it's nostalgic. But then I was like, this is the worst way to listen to any kind of music possibly that I can
Yeah,
think
because the
of. Like,
sound quality
yeah,
is
the sound quality
so
is the
rank.
worst. I can't compare it to 8-track, but I'm not sure what's worse between that or 8-track.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like 8 tracks, I mean, I don't even think I could know what that sounds like. They just look like big cartridges.
Yeah.
But cassette tapes, you used to tape over them.
Yeah.
Stick the piece of tape over that thing on the top and then yeah.
Or
No,
early
cassettes.
burning CDs, like waiting by the radio just in case some
Yes.
months you could catch the very beginning of it and
Yeah, right.
miss
Oh
parts of
God,
it, have
yeah.
the DJ talking over it.
Yeah, up until the first lyric, till the first vocal line.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's interesting. You said you were getting a lot of that stuff for free, and like there were perks to the gig, obviously, when you first started,
Mhm.
writing and doing things in the music industry. And that's something that also drew me to it. I mean, I just did it. I started posting news on my crappy website way back in the day when I was a teenager too. And I started getting like a couple perks here and there. Not so many like show perks and things like that,
Mhm.
because there weren't that many at the time. The bands that I was covering weren't really coming through this area, but like I got like all sorts of CDs and shirts and everything in the mail, to where my parents started like freaking out. They're like, "What is
Right.
coming?" And I'm like, "I don't know what to tell you. It's just
Bro,
free
I'll take
shit."
it.
Yeah, but it's really interesting because I go through the staff page on Lambgoat, and I just go down the line. There's like 100 people that have worked for it over the last 20 years or something like that, or whatnot. And you're on there, and a lot of other names that I've had to deal with in the last couple of years.
Am
Like,
I still on there?
I mean, in the staff page, you're inactive.
Inactive.
Yeah, it's
God,
inactive on the
I have to
back
go
end, but
look.
it's not visible. So I can only see
Oh,
in the
it's in the
back
back
end.
end.
Yeah, I see it in the back end because like everything, like as far as your reviews that you've done, are linked by a number, and that's like your staff number.
Who else is on this back end? I'm trying to think if there's anybody like that I
Ryan
know.
Downey is
Downey, good
yeah,
friend of
there's
mine,
on
of
there.
course. I was gonna say it's Ryan Downey because that's how we always say we met because I used to write about his band Burn It Down like many years ago for those publications that I talk about. I'm like, God, I was a terrible writer back then.
No, yeah, he was an employee. I don't know to what extent these employees, what they did, because I wasn't technically there or their employer at that time. I've only been with Lambgoat for 4 years, and only in this particular behind the curtains view in the last 6 months.
Right,
So,
right.
all this is like kind of new. But like, again, interesting that people that either shared time with Lambgoat have gone on to do other things within the industry, which, that's something that's really cool. And you're one of the cooler people that have worked for Lambgoat. Obviously, you work with a
Uh,
lot. Yeah. You work with a lot of bands, not only a lot of bands, but some heavy hitters in like the metalcore world, especially like the Roadrunner world and stuff like that.
yeah.
So how do you get into, like, you go from writing to being a publicist? Like, what's the big difference between, writing for an outlet and then being a publicist for a band?
Well, for me, it was I just always liked writing. And when I got this job at Roadrunner, I had transitioned from the job at CMJ, but I worked in the Roadrunner radio department first, which was basically it's the same thing. It's doing publicity for
I don't mean to
um
interrupt, but is that in Philly or is that in New York? Because I know
that
that.
was in New York. Roadrunner was in New York. Yeah, I grew up right outside of Philly, but when I graduated college, I moved to right outside of Manhattan, which is where I still live. And when I took the job at Roadrunner, it was in the radio department. So I worked with all radio stations in the country, whether it was commercial that had like a 5 nights a week metal show, or 2 hours on a Friday night or a Sunday, or any kind of hard rock and metal programming. And I also did video promo, which was like anything from MTV to VH1 to those Friday night video type shows, in
120
Tuscaloosa.
minutes headbang at the
Yeah, all
Costco, whatever.
everything, but even also like the mom and pop ones. Like the ones that like were real, like, Wayne's World type. And I did everything, I worked with all the bands like Nickelback and all the, even the commercial side of things, doing radio promo and video promo, and then radio promo for the hard rock metal bands. And then a couple years, 6 years into the job, it's a job that had a shelf life. You either moved on in the radio department, to be a regional, and they had my boss retired and they shifted some things and they moved me into the press department, which was just doing the same thing except to press outlets, media outlets. And I was the same thing, promoting the artist, just, in a different way, not on the radio stations, but in print and online, TV, all those kind of publications. And it was an easy transition for me because I was a writer and I was already either writing for these outlets or knew people because I had relationships with those outlets already. So it was an easy transition. I already used to write for Revolver, so I had a longstanding relationship with the editors. I wrote for Spin, so I had a longstanding relationship with the editors. I wrote for Guitar World, so I knew everybody. So it was a very easy transition having been a writer.
That's interesting. And what are the first couple bands you started working with at that time? Like, what bands did they throw you right away?
When I took the job at Roadrunner, I always say, because I wanted to work with Slipknot, Killswitch Engage, and Glassjaw. That's why I took the job. Those are the bands that I loved. And I still work with Killswitch Engage to this day. I worked with Slipknot from the highest highs and lowest lows, from, selling out Madison Square Garden to Paul Gray's death, which was the hardest professional day of my life. But those were when I started. I was working on Fear Factory, Soulfly, all the like very iconic Roadrunner bands, Typo Negative.
Mm-hmm. You probably sent me a bunch of CDs actually to my parents' house. Now that I'm thinking
about it. It's possible.
Like all the God, what's Soulfly came through. Fear Factory came through. I think Digimortal. Were you around? Were you sending stuff?
Yes, that was the first thing I worked was Digimortal. Yes, which came after a far better record, a far superior record with Obsolete. But that was a lot of the classic like era late 90s Roadrunner bands were either cycling out or breaking up. It was like Fear Factory, Sepultura, Typo Negative, and they were kind of being replaced by the new bands like Slipknot, Killswitch, Trivium. Machine Head was kind of up and down, and then it was Devil Driver. So it was a really interesting, Chimera was kind of taken off a little bit. So it was a very interesting time. And then a lot of baby bands, and then Cradle of Filth, or I'm trying to think, Megadeth. So it was a very Hatebreed, Black Label Society. It was best.
At one point, Roadrunner had like all the heavy hitters at a mainstream, like a large indie, small mainstream label would have.
Oh yeah, we had Dragon Force. At the height of Guitar Hero. It was a great, amazing era. It'll never be duplicated. It'll never be replicated. We all know that. We always look back at it. All my former coworkers who are all gone on to do different things, we're all like, that was the greatest work family ever. And it was I tell people I worked there in the formative years of my life that I became the adult human being that I am today. While I was working there, and it was the greatest job ever. I loved it. And it was the greatest work family and some of the greatest bands, and the bands were like family. Because you're working with somebody every day on that close level, and you're in the ground and you're in the shit with them, you become real close real quick. You fight like cats and dogs sometimes, but I had some of the best fights of my life with Dez from Devil Driver, and I still love him to this day like a brother. But it's a I still work with Trivium, I still work with Killswitch, I still work with a lot of these artists. I'm still good friends with a lot of them as well. I still work with Johnny from Spineshank. I worked with Christian Machado from El Nino on his solo project. We work on a lot of Roadrunner stuff still. So it was a very fertile time. It'll never be replicated.
Is it because you work with, like you said, you work with a lot of people all over. Is it difficult dealing with people when they have because certain bands, even on the same label, let alone the same PR list, probably don't get along or have you have El Nino and you had Christian, you had the singer who left. So is there any weirdness working with bands that either have beef or like that split up and become other bands that you still work with as well?
No, like it's so funny. The funniest thing, it depends.
Like even if
Like
the artists are beefing themselves and stuff, obviously you have to play like
when you like we were all of our bands used to tour together, like Devil Driver and Machine Head would tour and Killswitch, would tour with Slipknot. So no, it was always very like that always made my life easier when our bands toured together because I could get a lot done and I could piggyback stuff. Our bands are always touring like Ozfest or Mayhem or Warped Tour.
Mhm.
Uh, in these like it's funny, one of the funny because then when I left Roadrunner and started my own company, Killswitch was the first band that I work like that came with me. Like I kept doing PR to stay working with Killswitch because I love them so much. And Howard eventually, left the band, and I still do press for Howard for his band, like The Torch. And it's very funny because like some media people would ask me, and they'd say, "Hey, is Killswitch mad that you work with Howard's band?" And I was like, "Well, considering that they have the same manager, Killswitch and like The Torch had the same managers, Kenny and Vaughn, and considering that." I worked with Howard in Killswitch for many years and I still work with Killswitch. No, like it's just funny that people thought, I'm like, well, first of all, if it was problematic, I wouldn't do it. But second of all, it's all family.
Yeah. I do
And
think people
Howard, still is, the signal fire, is the song on the last Killswitch record with
yeah.
Howard.
Yeah. I think that people just assume that there's bad, ill will because Howard leaves and then Jesse, the
Mhm.
older singer, the original singer before Howard, or not, but the singer before Howard comes and steps back in.
Jesse replaced his replacement.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So that usually never really happens, especially after like I don't know, Kill Switch like ran the gauntlet with like
Yeah.
all these releases after Jesse left, and they became like such a force to reckon with. So
And it's like
yeah, I
people,
can see
so
why
I think,
people would think there's some kind of beef. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
of course, because when Howard left, it was very like unexpected. And I nursed the band and Howard through that phase because a lot of stuff was going on behind the scenes that Kenny and Vaughn and I still laugh about, that people don't know about. But it was a strange period. But I look at it this way: like people ask that age-old question all the time, like, well, if Jesse stayed in the band, I think Killswitch was going to be huge no matter who the singer was because they hit at the right time and they have the songs. And Jesse and Howard are two very different types. Like Jesse's, like their voices are different, their lyrics and their styles are different. And I think they both add to what Killswitch is. And I saw Howard Jones's first show with Killswitch. I was the only person at Roadrunner at Hellfest when he made his debut. And I remember when I came back to the office, everybody was like, "Hey, how was it?" And I was like, I thought it was amazing. Look, I'm a tried and true Jesse fan, but I was also a Blood Has Been Shed fan. So I loved Howard through that as well. And I was like, "Oh my God, it was amazing. It was amazing." And all my bosses were like, she's too close to the band. She's too big
Right.
of a fan. We can't take what she says seriously yet because she's too biased." And I was like, no, was I too biased? What happened with Killswitch? It
Yeah.
was
Right.
one
Exactly.
records. Okay, right. I think I was right. Bye.
What year was that?
2003, I think.
Three?
No, or two. I think it was 2003.
Syracuse? Still in Syracuse?
Yeah. It was
Okay.
in
Yeah.
Syracuse. Yep.
I went to
Um,
the '04 one in New Jersey, the last one, I guess. The Elizabeth, New
yep.
Jersey one.
Was that at
Rexplex.
Rexplex?
That place was wild, man. I can't.
Oh yeah.
I've never forgotten it. It just was like a
It's
hodgepodge
like
mix of
it was
like
like a
all
like
the
a
cool things. Yeah,
it was like skee ball and stuff like that. Like
I had
and
skee
batting
ball,
cages
but then you had
and
like
shit.
batting cage. When you say it like that, it sounds like an amusement park.
But it was Rexplex was kind of that.
I don't look at it like that. I looked at it
It's
like a
right by it's
gym.
right by IKEA.
Yeah, I looked at it like a gym with like I don't know 6 basketball courts, a bunch of like hockey and soccer fields inside, but also like a BMX and paintball area and like
Was it that cool? I don't remember that. I
oh
always think of
man,
it as like an amusement park. Okay, I guess because I just walked in there to go see shows, and I remember the Bad Luck 13 like was throwing meat and firecrackers at
oh
people.
yeah, that was a
Why
crazy
is this
one.
happening?
I don't know. That was on one of the basketball courts. I left before that stuff popped off, but I was there. Yeah, that was insane. That was the talk of the weekend.
I'm
Uh,
trying to remember who was. I think Stretch Armstrong had a great set. I remember.
at
Um,
the time, I was into so many other different smaller bands. So like the sets for me at that time were like remembering. I was big into Remembering Never at that time.
remembering Never.
That was a
Yes.
good one. Evergreen Terrace played, and they're the hometown kids.
Right,
Like, of
right,
course, we went
of
crazy for
course. It
them.
was a very Trustkill Ferret, and what was Evergreen Terrace? What was that label?
They were on Eulogy at the time, I think.
Eulogy. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Dave from Eulogy, I think his
Yeah,
name was.
Indianola Eulogy era. So yeah, that was a good little time, man. And you may be right. It could have been more of an amusement park situation, but it didn't feel like that to
I don't
me.
know, because I just walked in there to go see shows. I saw a lot of shows there, and I liked it because it was very convenient because it was like 15 minutes from my house.
Hey, I saw a Roadrunner band I never thought that I would ever see there
Ew.
at Hellfest, Dry Kill Logic.
Oh my goodness.
That
Nice guy.
band,
Cliff is a very nice guy. I didn't like their
man,
music.
that band, I don't know why, for whatever reason, but back in my new metal days, that was like a band I
They
highly
were Hinge
gravitated toward.
80,
Yeah. Yeah, the Hinge.
like Martyr 80, which is
Yeah.
of course the superior 80 band there.
But Dry Kill, for some reason, when I was a young fellow going through the
New metal phase.
harsh times of being in school and dealing with
We're all
parents,
about
all
Try
that,
Kill Logic.
yeah, all that stuff was popping then. And I never thought that I outgrew my new metal phase. And then I got into like metalcore, hardcore area.
Right.
And
It's the
then
natural
I remember
progression.
then I remember them being on the flyer, and I had to go into the little gym room, small room in the Rexplex to see them. And I was like, this is
Rex
cool. I
Flex.
mean, I'm kind of over this phase, but it's cool. I get to like check that box, you
I'll
know?
always go see bands too that like it might be like, uh, you know, uh, I might not be into them anymore, but I'll still go see bands like that just to see them, just to say I did. I saw Nelson like that once. I was like, oh, I'll go see them. I'll go see any show really because that's my favorite thing to do is go to shows. So I have no issue with going to see things that I don't like anymore or uncool stuff. Because you never know, you're like, oh, I saw this band at this small place. Which is funny that you're bringing up Dry Kill Logic. Great dudes. Cliff is just awesome, but I didn't love the music.
No, not a big fan. What are they up to? Are they doing anything? Are they about to do
I think
anything?
so. I don't think so. I wonder if
Yeah,
I think Cliff he worked at Universal Records for a while. I don't know what he's up to these days. Just super
interesting.
nice guy.
I'll have to figure it out one day. But
I
yeah,
forgot him.
God, I had something to ask or something to bring up right before that. Anyway, we're going to cut from that because we were getting sidetracked anyway. Let's get
Okay.
into what PR and being a publicist actually
Sure.
is, and then we'll move into you opening up your own company because, like you
Sure,
just
whatever you
hinted at,
yes.
you did the Roadrunner thing and then left. So break it down for the listeners who kind of are clueless as to, and I'm sort of somewhat
Sure.
clueless as to. I mean, I get the press releases from you all, and I deal with you all when I want to talk to the bands or do anything any interaction type thing. So, yeah, what overall duties do you handle for your artists?
What is PR? I tell people this, like, because they don't know if they think like people think public relations, they think you're dealing with the public. That's not accurate. But you're dealing with their public perception and how the public relates to them and how the public perceives them, sees them, absorbs them, and understands them. And I always say public relations is the tree, and everything else is the public relations has a lot of branches. It's actual publicity, which is doing interviews. It's not doing interviews. The interviews that you turn down is also a branch. Reviews is a branch. Show reviews is a branch. Any kind of lifestyle press, charity, making how you are shifting perception and how you shape the artists and how the world perceives them and how the media perceives them. It can be denying access as much as it is granting it. Some artists that I work with do very limited press, and that makes press want them more, and it makes the mystique even a little bit deeper and makes them more interesting. So, but some artists have done a ton of press and they are only doing a certain level of press. Some artists want to do everything. It's definitely a case by case basis, but when you're doing press, it's not just interviews and sending people music. It's denying interviews. It's coming up with ideas to pitch. It's coming up with a way to put things in front of people. It's hiring a stylist for a photo shoot. It's picking the right photographer. It's so much more than what people would think it is that goes on behind the scenes. It's even the language that you're using in a press release, writing a press release or a bio to get out for the artist. So it's setting bands up with interviews but also, when you invite people to see a band live, you just want them to see the band and experience it. You don't always get a clip out of that, but you might have a media person go and see a band live and go, wow, that changed my total perception of them. I'm going to cover them somehow. So it's just about those relationships. And making sure that the media is aware of these artists and using your relationships to and the fact that you work closely with media to get them to pay attention to something new, and to help expose or get behind an up and coming artist, and that works for them, and and establishing that relationship that's mutually beneficial for the artist and the media outlet.
Do you think, and this goes, I guess this would be different depending on if it's an older alumni type artist or a newer up and coming artist, but you mentioned granting access, not and not granting access, and how that sometimes plays into the mystique of the artist. What works best, do you think, currently? Because I would think that in the current day and age, when I find a band, mostly like they're like hardcore bands that are getting like a little bit of buzz but have like zero social media
Right.
stuff. So like, to me it's harder to find out about that band because I'm so used to finding out stuff on through social media at this particular
Yeah.
point. But again, like you said, it does add a bit of mystique to it. What do you find works best, or does it just, is it like you said, case by case scenario, but overall
Always. It depends on what the band is looking for, or what kind of some bands like, I only want this level press, or some bands are like, hey, I'll do everything, or and some bands where they're up and coming, well, they have to do everything because they don't have any currency. But then you have a band who's huge and they can pick and choose what they want to do, and that's just simply because some of them have been doing it for so long, or they want to try to get into a different audience, or they want to reach a whole different sect of people. So it really is a case by case basis.
Interesting. Yeah, I would assume that younger or newer bands in general want to do everything, but I also know a bunch of bands that don't want to do any of that. Like I just talked to you familiar with Hammerhead, the three brothers that are like younger 16 to 21 year olds?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like they don't want to do any of the social media stuff. They also don't have any social media. So it's kind of like, in my head I'm like, well, how do you get any of that stuff out there? And I guess it would be through their publicist or
Yeah,
team.
because social media isn't filtered, and or it is, or it's too filtered, but it's like I it doesn't have that third party validation. That's why media outlets, they're tastemakers, and they have history of being the first getting behind a band. Well, that's how they get their kind of cred. And anybody, band could go on Instagram and say, hey, I'm the fucking best. Okay, everybody's going to say that. But when you have Lambgoat, or you have Sciarretto, or you have Pitchfork saying, this is the fucking best, those are the tastemakers who've earned that right. And when they back a band, people listen. So it's like, that's why like the media is so important with exposing bands, because they are that third party validation.
Yeah.
You can love yourself all you want, and you can post the fuck out of Facebook and Instagram, and the algorithms are going to change on the regular, but it's that third party validation that is where people, I think, get the access to the bands. It's also like, most people are probably not following every single member of their favorite band on Instagram because they don't have time. I mean, yeah, everybody's doom scrolling all the time, but I just don't, or death scrolling, whatever it's called, either or. I don't think that you miss a lot that way. But if you go on Loudwire or Lambgoat or Blabbermouth, you get everything at once, so you don't have to scroll through endless pages.
Yeah.
That's why the value of media as the third party is always, no matter how many social media followers you have, or how much shit you're posting on Instagram or TikTok or Twitter. TikTok, that's my least favorite. I'm just like, I'm not even trying to figure out all those videos. I'm like, everybody looks like they're like a master video editor. Who has that kind of time? Is it easy? I don't know. I don't really like TikTok. I think it's like here today, gone tomorrow. But anytime I see somebody posting a video from it, I'm like, wow, it looks like they spent 8 hours creating that video.
I feel the same way. And I kind of think, because we're expanding a little bit in the content realm here. And unfortunately, I don't have the TikTok because I don't want to deal with it. But one of us in the team does have the TikTok, and they do make videos and stuff like that. It's nowhere near like what we're talking about, where people are doing some insane transitioning type videos and stuff.
Yeah, or like they're quoting lyrics and then they turn around and they're like, I'm gonna cut my hair, and then 3 seconds later they show what's going on. Where, how did that happen?
Yeah, no, we're not doing anything like that.
It looks like a day's worth of work.
I'm assuming, and I'm sure that there are apps out there that make that stuff pay and
happen.
create that are
Yeah,
like
I don't have time for
so
that.
easy. But again, yeah, I don't have time for that either. I barely have time to like. I don't even check the Lambgoat Instagram. I'm like on the Lambgoat Facebook. Just it's enough to like. I understand now what Alex has gone through for the last 23 years. Just like constantly updating the news or just trying to maintain on top of it because
Or
not
monitor
everything not
comments.
everything comes through not everything comes through in a PR email, you know. It may
Yeah, of
come
course.
through on Twitter or Instagram or you know, and then of course someone may tell us a rumor or send us something and we got to go, you know, research it and find
See it,
out.
yeah. Well, at least you're investigating it because I can't tell you how many times people post things without verifying it. And that's like, how can you call yourself legitimate media if you post something and you didn't come to me and ask me for a comment or verification on things? And I might say no comment, but you can, it's like journalistically unethical. So for some people that
Mhm.
post that stuff without asking for a comment or a confirmation.
Yeah, I've
But a
had
lot
that.
of people aren't journalistically ethical these days. Oh, I have a Wi-Fi connection. I made a website.
Yeah, no, that's it. I definitely have had conversations with Alex about stuff like that just because like in the grand scheme of things, you know, I didn't want to grow up to be a journalist at all, like ever. I just like this in just this music, right? I got attracted to the music, and then I learned how to make websites, and then I kind of just fell into I'll combine the two, and then you know, 20 years later, I started doing that again, but with Alex, and it was kind of like once I took over, I realized like, oh shit, I have to be like a journalist now, and I don't even really want to be a journalist or anything like that.
Right. Because it's
But
like, I mean, it's not like an easy thing.
true, very true. And it is time consuming, like you said. Like a lot of people send us shit all day long because you
Oh,
know,
I'm sure it's tweets and it's a photo of this
and
or
Lambgoat's got the drama fucking tag to it. You know, we're a big
like a
yeah,
drama channel.
yeah, we were TMZ for the scene back in the day, and you know, probably still would be if like the other outlets didn't come along and we didn't mobilize our website until recently. But you know, they took on and took off and everything like that. But uh yeah, I didn't really ever want to be that. I just wanted to kind of report on the like the updates. But I guess that's the good thing about Lambgoat too is there's no real like commentary coming from Lambgoat. Like for the most part, Lambgoat doesn't have like a it has a voice, but it doesn't have a voice where it's telling you like we think this article you should side with this person or
Yeah,
we
yeah, it's puts it out there. True. I think it's in the comments
oh
section.
yeah, well
I
that's
love the impersonators. There used to be the guy that used to impersonate Franz from Attila. Franz here.
oh yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of ongoing. You should probably know that though. There's a bunch of
I do.
ongoing.
I sometimes, sometimes when I want to go down the rabbit hole of reading Lambgo comments, I'm like, wow, people post this stuff. I
Yeah,
mean, do they care about people knowing their IP address with some of the fucking heinous stuff that they say? I mean, it's like, whoa, I can't believe somebody said that. And I laugh sometimes, and sometimes I'm like, wow.
yeah. We you know, Alex took him away for a little bit. He got rid of the comments for a little bit. There was a little public outcry. People were
A little
pissed.
backlash.
Yeah, so he brought him back. And then a lot of people thought we were going to take them away, but you know, like I've come to Lambgoat since I was like 16, 15 years old. So I also came from a different time in the internet too, where people were just posting anonymously all over.
Of
So
course.
it
Metal
wasn't,
sucks had that same issue.
yeah. And I mean, everyone does. And I feel like now that we have multiple people, you know, working the site, because before it was mainly just Alex for the most part. It's a lot to handle. I feel
Yeah,
like we are on top of it a little bit more, but
good.
also it's almost damn near impossible to be on top of it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's active chatter going on. It's like in real time too. So there's only so
Yeah.
much you can do.
All right. So you kind of we'll get to Adam Splitter PR, your company.
Sure.
You kind of you leave your time's up at Roadrunner. So how do you start your own Adam Splitter PR firm or company?
I didn't have a choice, to be honest. Like I left Roadrunner. I saw things were changing there. Um, I probably stayed there maybe a year longer than I wanted to. But it was a good decision to do that. And I left Roadrunner on a Friday and I started at Adam Splitter on a Monday. I didn't take a day off. Haven't had a day off since either. Haven't had a vacation since 2006.
Yeah.
But, when I went to Maine. But, um, I, I, as I said, some of the stuff that they say, I mean, it's active chatter going on. It's like in real time too. So there's only so much you can do. Yeah, I mean, it's I was leaving Roadrunner and I was like, I'm not sure. Do I want to go back and do writing? I had a pretty busy freelance writing gig. And I was like, should I do that? Should I turn that into a full-time thing? And I was like, no, I don't know if I want to do that either. And I went to a Killswitch show and I told him, I said, hey guys, I'm leaving Roadrunner. And Mike D from Killswitch, the bassist, said, well, don't leave us. I said, okay, I won't. And when I left Roadrunner, it was like Machine Head and Gojira and all these other bands were like, hey, we want to hire you to do our press, even though you're not at Roadrunner anymore. And then a lot of the managers who had other bands on other labels were like, okay, well, we want to hire you to do press for our non-Roadrunner bands. So it spiraled really quickly. And I remember I used to read about the girl who started this cosmetics brand, Hard Candy, that I used to love. And she spoke a lot about how she had struggled with growth and scaling. And she was like, I could no longer be mixing nail polishes in the sink in my bathroom. And that was how I felt. I'm like, I can no longer manage this beast out of my guest room in my condo. I had to hire people immediately, and I needed help right away because I kept getting stuff thrown at me like for projects, and we grew really quickly. And I still struggle with growth because we are constantly growing and getting our clients we just keep getting more awesome clients to add to our already awesome client base. And it just was, I'm just like, I don't ever stop. I get up at 5 o'clock, 5:21 every day. And I'm at my desk by 6:15.
What time do you go to bed?
Too late. I usually go to bed around 11:30. Believe me, I want to be going to bed at 9 and getting up.
We all do, Amy, but it's almost impossible.
Yeah, I just don't get enough sleep, and I'm grumpy because of it, I think. But no, I don't sleep a lot, but I don't want to do anything else. Like I say this all the time. Like my brother always tells me, he works at a casino his whole career, and he made a respectable living at it, but he's like, man, I deal with the scum of the earth, and I probably look at my watch like 1,000 times in an hour, and I'm like, I'm very blessed. I never have that feeling ever. There are days when it's annoying when you get an email about a photo pass that's missing at 8 o'clock at night on a Sunday and you're just trying to watch some football. That happens all the time. It's more of a lifestyle than it is a job. But I know so many of my friends hate their fucking job. They spend 9 to 5 unhappy. I don't feel that way ever. I get to work with some of the most brilliant and creative and talented people out there. They become close to me like family. I love telling their stories. I know that the music that I loved when I was 16 and 15, it found its way to me through the work that somebody was doing behind the scenes. And I feel like I'm doing that same thing. And people think this is like a job that doesn't save lives. It's a luxury job, but it's really not, because you're just helping artists get their art out there. And that's important. And I know that the music I listen to saved my life. So yeah, it is like saving lives, because people, the world's fucking hard. It's a brutal place. And art is what helps you get through it, whether it's music, movies, books, whatever. And I believe that art is what helps you get through it, and music and lyrics. And it just makes you feel like, I'm not doing this by myself. Somebody out there who wrote this lyric or wrote this riff was going through something shitty, and I'm going through the same thing, and they know how I feel. And that's the connection. And I love to be able to be part of helping that happen. And like I said, there's a lot of things about it, that are really stressful, but I don't want to do anything else.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, again, I just fell in, I was a nerdy freaking kid learning HTML by like stealing source code tags off of like people's websites and stuff. So like, and then at the earliest time that I was allowed to go to shows, because I was making websites before I was even like allowed by my parents to go to like any kind of shows, let alone concerts. So, by the time I was like 17, I went to my first probably like concert without like my parents or whatnot, to like something that I wanted to go to. And
yeah,
like,
really cool.
yeah. And I think after the pandemic, like right after the pandemic, well, our right after the pandemic was a little different than yours, because I'm in Florida, so we had like shows and stuff going on a lot sooner than like everywhere else. But I went and
In
saw
Florida, what a shock. That was
yeah. We're Florida men all day down here. But I think it was Madball. Madball played in like March or May or something like that, like 2021. And I remember I hadn't been to a show at that point in like almost 2 years. And
It was the worst. It was the worst not having shows.
it was. And it was something I didn't really realize but JP, the guy who also is a business partner with me here at Lambgoat, but helped me do the podcast since we started it. We just realized like, oh my God, we spend a lot of time going to shows, like a lot more than like anybody else that we kind of know. Like it's
Yeah.
once a week, and that's a lot for here. I live in a
Yeah.
smaller market, not like you can go, you are going every night almost. I see.
Almost. I would though. I love it. I mean, I used to go like 3 shows a night. I'm not 21 anymore, but
Yeah.
my body can't take that. But I try to go as often as I can, especially after shows were taken away from us,
Yeah,
by
and that's what I
COVID.
was saying. Like, we walked into the show and like it kind of dawned on me. I was like, man, when I was a kid, I walked into some shitty bar somewhere, like a shitty bar to see like some band that I thought was like the biggest thing ever. And I've never left that place. Like I always return to that. And I find that when I go places like other cities, other whatever, I'll go seek out their shitty little grunge bar or something like that. And that's the place I want to go hang out at or something. So
Yeah.
it's really bad.
I'll never stop loving shows. That's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
That's my favorite pastime, and it gets to be my job too. So I'm very blessed, and I don't ever take that for granted.
Same. I hate my day job, but it is what it is. You got to do one thing to let the other thing happen. But maybe one day we grow Lambgoat enough, even though it is relatively well known. We got to grow it enough to where we can do it full time altogether.
You'll get there. You'll get there. You just
Oh,
gotta like keep the drive and keep like the eye on the prize, and it'll happen. If you don't, I always say if you just hustle, that's how.
Yeah,
That's how.
I think that's what we've got going for us. I mean, granted, the name is very well known in the industry.
It is very well known.
A lot of people maybe think that like the website went away, because I know a lot of people like used to visit and then now they don't, or they, because again, it was hard to visit. It wasn't a mobile website. And I know people don't really think about that, but this website was like a desktop based website in 2021.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Not optimized.
Yeah. So it was difficult to use.
Get with the program. Get with the internet. What is Y2K?
I don't know. You'll have to ask Alex about that. I did pressure him for years about the website. Eventually we did
He's
get it.
being old school.
Yeah. But yeah, so
Not gonna sell out.
no, he definitely didn't. And I'm sure you had the option to do so at some point, because everyone's getting bought out, as we've known in the last year or so.
Oh, please. I'm waiting for the big multi-million-dollar out of sort of PR buyout.
Yeah. That's I don't know. We talked internally, it'd be cool to sell it, at some point, but then also it'd be really cool to have it for 20 years too, like Alex had,
Right. Yeah. You never know what the
see what happens.
Just keep doing what you're doing, putting quality behind it, and being easy to work with. And people that will spread. People will hear that.
I try to be easy, but
no, you are easy to work with.
I've gone long enough. I have to ask, let's get into Glassjaw, because, as you know, I also am a giant Glassjaw fan.
How can anybody not be? And look, anybody wants to at me about this, I don't care. There's no possible way that worship and tribute touches everything you ever wanted to know about Silence. I'm sorry, it doesn't. And people try to fight with me about this, and I'm like,
what are you saying though? What are you saying?
I'm saying that everything you ever wanted to know about Silence is a far superior record.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Are you gonna say that it's not? Blaspheme.
I'm gonna say this. It took loving the Deftones as much as I do to really understand Glassjaw. And the way
makes sense. They toured together in 2000.
And the way that they make music, and the way that their discography has gone. Granted, Deftones have released a lot more material than Glassjaw has, but I do look at it like Worship and Tribute was Worship and Tribute, and I think that's their best album. Now, I don't even want to say that. I don't want to say that.
I have a lot of friends who say the same thing, and I think
Our Color Green is their best product, right? But that's only 5 songs, so I don't necessarily know if I want to say that's an album, but that's my favorite offering they've given out as one piece.
Interesting. I'm still gonna always say Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Silence.
That's a good one. I'm not saying it's bad.
But people look at that record, which is a breakup record, really. And Daryl is a very angry young man when he made that record. And a lot of people say, oh, it hasn't aged well, because maybe they look at the lyrics as misogynist. I don't. I think anybody who's ever gotten dumped or had their heart broken has thought that way, whether it's about a guy or a girl. So I feel no offense over the things that he said. He was expressing anger and heartbreak, and I fucking related to it, and I still relate to it every time that happens to me. I don't have issue with that at all. I also wrote the lyrics, not the lyrics, sorry, the liner notes to the reissue of that record.
Oh, nice.
Yes, and I did it because I worked at Roadrunner at the time. And I was like, nobody can write these but me, because I was probably one of the few people writing about the band at that period. And I loved them at Daryl and Beck, and they were all great dudes. And it was a very powerful and important record to me. It still holds up for me. I went and saw them last March.
Yep.
And they played most songs from everything. And I'm not saying that Worship and Tribute isn't good. Ape Dose Mill, Tip Your
Oh,
Bartender.
they're two different albums. I mean,
They're
every
two
album's
totally
different.
sound like two totally different bands. But I think that Everything You Ever Want to Know About Silence, to me, it's like untouchable. Like
I will.
it's just um I think it's an angry record. There's beautiful parts to it, like her middle name was Boom.
Oh
Motel
yeah.
Lucas is such a great fuck you song. You know what I mean? Hey, Will, come here, baby.
I
Come here.
definitely I went to the 20th anniversary, or whatever the fucking show you were talking about where they played both sets.
Yeah, that was last year.
So we went and saw at the Atlanta date, and they played both that night, same night. I can't tell you, it probably had been years since I really, really listened to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I had listened to it prior, getting ready for the show and stuff like that. I knew Worship and Tribute like the back of my hand, because Ape Dose Mill is like probably my favorite song of all time, right? So that's like,
Wow.
I've listened to that song repeatedly over and over again. And like you said, everything is a breakup record. And that might be why I didn't listen to it as much later on, even though I definitely listened to it as like a young man, because all the feelings, I felt the same
The
thing.
feels.
So but oh my God, there were moments during that, live set where it's just when they're playing everything, and I'm like, oh my God, dude, this is fucking great. And
Yeah.
Motel comes on, and it sucked because it brought back all those emotions from being a young heartbroken man, and just
Yeah.
like, because that's when I was listening to all that, and it did make me get emotional and teary-eyed at certain parts of at least that album. Worship and
It's
Tribute doesn't really do that, but
No, because it doesn't have, I don't think Worship and Tribute has the same kind of, it doesn't. It's a more mature record, I think. And I think it's a little more artistically adventurous record. Whereas Everything I Wanted About Silence is just an angry, heavy record. I mean, Rai Rai song, to me, that's like a pop song. That's such a
yeah,
catchy song with great fucking lyrics, and Pretty Lush, When 1 8 Becomes 2 zeros, Siberian Kiss. Um, I mean, some Desert Island listening right there.
yeah,
Such a good record. I mean, and I think Daryl and his viewpoints on that, I still relate to them. I don't have any issue with it. And
yeah.
I love that record. And people at me all the time, no. Oh my God. I'm like, no, what are you talking about? Like I lived that record, when it came out in the cycle. And I only got to work them on one tour before they left Roadrunner, but they were one of the reasons I took the job, because I love that record so much.
Yeah, they weren't with them. They must have not been with them that long after you.
No, they left
Yeah,
in like 2003, I think.
yeah, that wasn't a good situation, huh?
No, they were not. They were not happy with Roadrunner, and it was understandable. They were
Was it
angry young men
because
at
it
the time.
was it because they were focusing on like bands like Nickelback? I know that
No, I,
Slipknot kind of had issue with that a little
I mean,
bit.
like Nickelback was like keeping the lights on there, and it was allowing them to us to sign bands,
Well, I know like this was around the same time where like
yeah,
How You Remind Me had come out, and they were all
yeah,
over. And this is way before they were like as big as they are now. So
yeah. It was
just
very.
I
It
remember
was.
hearing rumblings about that back in the day. That's all.
It's like a lot of people thought, oh, Nickelback, this, that, and that. It's like, no, Nickelback, help keep the lights on in that place, and that you have to have successes so you can continue to invest in other projects
Yeah,
that are up and coming. That's how it works.
yeah.
But
The industry is weird, especially to people that aren't a part of it. They don't understand, they don't understand what it is to make money, what it is for
and
these.
nowadays it's like everybody thinks Nickelback is cool and Creed is cool. And it's like, if people buy 25 million copies, there's 25 million copies of these records purchased, you're doing something right. Okay. Because I wouldn't mind selling 25 million of something, because that means I probably made a lot of money and people liked
Yeah,
what I made.
yeah.
So it might not be cool, it might be butt rock or whatever, but something somewhere, and for some reason it connected with people.
Hey,
I got no issue with Nickelback, man. They were always nice to me, and I think that they know how to write a hit.
I will admit to liking Nickelback's first record before that was back in my new metal days. Because again, I just followed everything that Roadrunner put out at that
Sure,
time.
because it was the best.
Yeah, and then it just around that same time I started getting into more hardcore metalcore metal stuff, and then it just became like stripper music. But
Mhm.
you know, rap people in rap make a bunch of stripper music, and that's how they sell a bunch of songs because people are
Yeah,
at strip clubs and stuff too,
of
especially
course.
like certain demographics that you're probably trying to get to. But
Yeah, not everything is always quite so serious or,
yeah,
DIY or cool. Sometimes it's like fine to just like something that feels good.
yeah, exactly. What's the end goal for Amy and Adam PR or Adam Splitter PR?
What about it? What do you mean? Like,
Like, what's the end goal, and like what when you've succeeded, or maybe when do you feel like you? I don't know if you want to hang it up because, like you said, you and I
oh God,
going
no,
to
I'll
shows
never
and
hang
stuff.
it up.
Yeah,
I
so
wouldn't mind taking a nice
for
buyout.
vacation.
Somebody would like to, infuse some cash, sure, and help us grow even more. Hey, I'm all about that. Come here, Wilbur. Come here. My dog is like limping a little bit because he was going crazy when the cleaning ladies were here today and he hurt his leg.
Yeah,
And he's
mine will do
6.
that every now and then. I got a long-legged boxer, and she'll
Oh,
tweak
box.
it running around the dog park with another dog.
Yeah.
It's also 12, so she probably shouldn't be doing that as much.
Oh
But
goodness. 12 years young. No, he's a bulldog, so he's got a lot of chunk on his legs and he's like limping a little bit. Will, you all right, babe? No, I don't think I'd ever hang it up. What else would I do with myself? I don't know. Go crazy from boredom.
save
Uh,
every dog in your neighborhood is from
yeah, I
what it
would do
looks
that
like.
too. I would definitely love to like do PR 3 days a week and then spend 2 days a week saving dogs and cats. Because I work, I volunteer walking dogs at a shelter, and if there's a homeless cat, I'm gonna try to save it. So, or feed it, or just show it some
You would love
love.
my neighborhood. My neighborhood has a bunch of stray cats.
Oh my God, I hope people are feeding them. I hope it's a good colony and somebody's or
No, yeah,
feeding.
yeah. There's a lot of people feeding them, and I think that's why a lot of the mice are gone around this area because we're like
Yeah,
down.
that's good. I don't want mice near. I mean, I feel sorry for. I don't want anybody to kill them, but I also don't want them in my house.
Right, yeah. We don't because I live in like a
I don't want to see
hundred.
snakes eat them.
Yeah, no. I live in a neighborhood with like 115-year-old houses, but we're right
You were
downtown.
telling me about that. I remember
Yeah.
that.
So probably when my house got broken into. But either way, yeah, so we have a bunch of like old cats and just running around, just
They're
living
good
in
with
dogs.
rodent population control.
That's why I don't mind it, but there is a house that on the other side of Main Street, if you walk around the neighborhood a little bit, it's got so
Hmm.
many stray cats, it just smells like cat pee or cat litter because they
That's
all go
great.
outside. So it's not the best, but
But
all right,
good.
Amy. Well, I appreciate your time. I don't mean to cut it too short, but
Oh,
I
you're good.
do
It was a good chat. It was a good chat. I really enjoyed it.
I did as well. It's good to meet you finally too, obviously in person, technically. I know
I'll
we've
be in Orlando probably, I don't know, probably after this. It'll probably be before this
after
round.
this.
I don't
Actually,
know.
for
Hard support.
I need to fucking talk to you about that because we slacked on that.
Yeah, just email me about it.
I
It's
will,
fine.
yeah. But yeah, so maybe I'll meet you there in person, but it's good to finally meet you. I know we've been talking
Yes,
for like 4 years or so with
I
via
know,
emails.
right?
Yeah, this one guy started sending out emails for Lambgoat like no one has in the last fucking 10 years, I guess. But
Oh, it's great. You were great to work with. We really like working with you.
good. Well, yeah, I will get Tim's In Flames podcast is going out in
Yeah.
2 weeks right before the release. So that was really cool.
Awesome. Awesome. Keep it up. Keep doing
Yeah.
it.
But
Keep
yeah,
covering our bands.
we'll keep doing that. You keep sending the stuff. We'll keep posting it.
Only
As
the
long as you
best.
don't get bummed out that we don't post everything because obviously we have an audience that
I know, I get it. I know
okay.
things don't fit.
Okay.
If something doesn't fit, I understand that.
I just am
We
curious
just
as
send
to
everything
people's
out
views.
and people
Yeah.
can post what they want.
Yeah. I got it. Amy, thank you very much. I'll
Thanks for
talk
having
to you
me.
very soon.
Yeah,
I'll email you probably later tonight about heart
do it
support.
up.
And yeah, keep sending stuff and we'll obviously keep working together for many, many, many years to come.
I'm very happy about that.
Go Glassjaw. All right.
Yay. Everything you ever wanted to know about silence.
Whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to say is your best, I'll let you say it. You've
That's the
worked with me,
best.
you've been
Go
around.
listen to the whole thing start to finish and then come at me. All
We'll end it on that. All right.
right. Thank you.
Thanks, Amy. Have a good one.
All right. I'll talk to you later.